Hi, my name is Roberto Sereni. I'm a photographer based in New York City and Milan, Italy. Please check out my other tutorials on my channel and don't forget to subscribe. And also you can go to www.robertosereni.com/tutorials to see more tutorials. Today we're going to talk about lens filters. I'm sure you have seen them, you own some, or you wonder what they do, so we'll talk about this. All right, so the first filter that a lot of people have seen or own is the UV filter. Anytime you go and buy a camera or a lens, especially at the big box stores like Best Buy and so forth, the first thing they try to do is sell you a UV filter for your lens. I don't know about the UV part, whether it really does anything or not. I do use them mostly because I do a lot of my photo shoots, for instance, on the beach or in conditions where there may be some wind. And I like to have them on my lens just because it protects the actual glass on the lens. And personally, I've never really seen any deterioration on the image, especially if you're buying good filters. So most of my lenses have a UV filter on it. In the studio, I may take it out sometimes, but like I said, I've never really seen much impact to the quality of my images. The next filter is the polarizing filter. The polarizing filter, like the circular polarizer, for instance, like this one, is a filter that rotates, as you can see. And what it does, it blocks the light coming from the sun. If the light is hitting at about 90 degrees at an angle, it's close to 90 degrees to where you're pointing your camera. It's kind of like if you've ever had polarizing sunglasses. It really makes the color more rich. It's great for landscapes. If you do a lot of landscape photography, I recommend you go get one of these. By rotating it, you're changing the amount that the filter, the amount of filtering that the filter is doing on your photo. And one thing important about filter is that they are based on the diameter of your lens. So if you have an 82 millimeter diameter lens, you have to buy obviously an 82 millimeter filter. If you have a 72 or a 77 and so forth, you have to make sure you buy the right diameter for your lens. Unless you go with something like the leaf filter system, which just mounts to the front of the lens and then the filters themselves are square and you just slide them in. But I would say just get a screw-on filter and you're good to go. The other filter that I use a lot are ND filters. ND filters are basically like sunglasses for your lenses. So if you ever get out there, and again, for instance, landscape photography, you're trying to take a picture and it's a bright sunny day, but you want to, you run out of shutter speed because you can't go fast enough and it's still way overexposed. You put an ND filter on your lens, and again, it's like putting sunglasses, and it reduces by a certain number of stops depending on the filter you buy. So it allows you to slow down your shutter speed, or it allows you to open up your the diaphragm on your lens, change your f-stop basically. Another great use for ND filters is, have you ever seen photos of, say, waterfalls and the water looks like silk? Just they're coming down and or like water over the ocean and it just looks like it's just smoky, silky water. The way you do that is you slow down your shutter speed way slow to say half a second up to 30 seconds. Well, if you try to do that, you will see pretty quickly that it doesn't matter. Even if you set your camera to f22, you may still be way overexposed. So the way you fix that is you put an ND filter, because again, it makes everything just darker. What the camera sees, it makes it darker. Therefore, it allows you to slow down your shutter speed and obtain those effects. Another filter that I like to use is the graduated filter. The grad filter is basically a mix between an ND filter and no filter. It has a line in the middle and half of it is dark, half of it is basically clear, and you can again rotate it. This is great for like if you're taking a shot, again landscape, and you have a beautiful blue sky and dark underneath, say the ocean or the mountains underneath, and you want to balance the light between the sky and the mountains or the ocean. Usually what ends up happening, if you're exposed correctly for the mountains, you blow out the sky. If you're exposed correctly for the sky, the mountains or the ocean or whatever it is underneath, it's just too dark. Well, the great thing about this filter is that you can rotate it to where the dark part is at the top, for instance, where the sky is. And then when you set up your shot, you make sure that you line up where the split is between the clear and the dark, where, for instance, your horizon line is, and it helps you balance the exposure between something extremely bright and something not as bright. Another filter too for ND filters is variable ND filters. I don't actually have one here right now, but variable ND filters are great as well because they're, instead of buying a set amount of f-stop, instead of buying one that it's set to a certain number of f-stop changes to your exposure, like for instance a 3-stop filter, a 10-stop, a 6-stop filter, the variable filters allow you to, by turning them, to change the amount of sunglasses that you're putting on the lens. Again, I don't have one here to show you, but it's basically, it looks identical to all the other filters except for, again, as you turn it, you can spin it just like a variable a polarizer filter and the color grad filter. That's basically all the filters that I use. Now, there's other filters out there. There's color filters that you can put on your lens for different effects. There's all sorts of stuff, but these are the main ones that I use. And especially the ND filters, I don't only use them for landscape. I also use them, for instance, with people. If I'm using strobes or speed lights, usually you're limited to a sync speed of, say, 200 of a second. Well, if you have a bright sunny day and you're trying to get a good exposure on your background, you'll find right away that if you go way too fast on your shutter speed, well, the person, you go past your sync speed, so you get that black bar. So the only way to fix that is you take, unless you go to high speed sync, which we're not covering here, we're talking filters, you get an ND filter on your lens. You set up your exposure for the background, and then you use your lighting, your strobes or your speed lights, to expose the person correctly, and voila, you just fix your problem. So filters are very, very powerful. I recommend you looking into them and start playing with them. Please don't forget to check out my other tutorials on my channel and on my website at robertoserini.com/tutorials. And if you have any subjects that you'd like for me to cover in photography, please feel free to email me at info@robertoserini.com. Don't forget to subscribe. Ciao.